All right, Vandertramp verbs. I cheated a little bit and have already put all of the, answers and everything up. There is a chance, move me out of the way, that depending on what order we did things in class, your chart may look a little different. It doesn't matter, like you've got a D here and a D here. It doesn't matter what order they're in. So as long as you have all of the D's, all of the R's, all of the M's, all that kind of stuff on there, and they line up correctly. So devenir means to become, and it is devenu, whether it's in the first D position or the second D position. That part doesn't matter as long as everything agrees all the way across. So usually what I do at some point, you have a chart quiz where I give you, if I give you the verb, then you have to give me the meaning and the past participle. If I give you the meaning, then you have to give me the other two. Most of you at this point have had one chart test at some point anyway. But what these verbs are, Vandertramp verbs, are called that because if you look down this column, the first letter of all of these verbs spell out Dr. and Mrs. P. Vandertramp. And it's a way to remember which verbs in the passé composé use être as your helping verb instead of using avoir. In addition to that, some of the past participles are weird, like devenir is an IR verb, but the past participle ends in a U. You just have to memorize these. You have to memorize the chart and know what they are. Unfortunately, the weirdness doesn't end there. So you have some weird, some normal past participles. You use être, and your past participle, whatever this is, once you conjugate être and you put it down, this has to agree with whatever your subject is. So again, I kind of cheated a little bit. I already have answers here. If you are conjugating partir with mon grand-père, you conjugate être, which is est, a, and then you put your past participle. Because this subject, mon grand-père, is masculine and singular, you don't have to do anything to this subject or to this past participle to make it agree with your subject. However, and I put like wrong answers here and then the right answers in parentheses. If you have maman et papa sont rentrés, normally that would be correct, except for with Vandertramp verbs, you have to make this past participle agree. So you have a female plus a male, so it's mixed company, but it is plural, so therefore you have to add an S to your past participle. Same thing here, Helen is a female, so your past participle you have to add an E to, and then all the way down. I think I have a filled in example. I meant to find this before I started the video and I just didn't. Alright, so here is your example. This is kind of morbid, but it's mourir to die. So when you put this, the red is être all the way down, and then the green is mourir, your past participle. But if you are female, you will have an E on the end of this past participle. So if you said, I died on whatever date, and you are a female, then this is what it looks like. But if you are a male, this is what it looks like. No E. So that's what this parentheses around the E means. Sometimes you have an E, sometimes you do not, depending on who your subject is. Same thing with tu. Every now and then you have an E if you're talking to Monique or to Vivian or whoever it is you're talking to. Otherwise, if you're talking to Paul, you wouldn't put an E. As you go down, because il is singular masculine, you never ever ever add an E, but yet you always add an E if your subject is il. Same thing here, you always add an S to these two because they're plural, but you don't ever add an E, and you always add an E. With nous, it's always plural. Sometimes it may be feminine. With vous, it depends on what your subject is. Is it you, vous, formal, or is it y'all, vous, which is plural? And it just depends on whatever your subject is. So that's where all of this comes into play. Adding E's and S's to your past participle to make it agree here, here, with whatever your subject happens to be. So if it's feminine, you add an E. If it's plural, you add an S. All the way down. You do not add E's and S's to avoir, passé composé, for now. That will change at another point in time. Okay? If you have any questions, let me know.